House Fix with Rick. Today we're going to mount a TV bracket on the wall. It's time to put that TV up so we can watch all the games this fall. What we're going to do is take a wall mount bracket that we've purchased at the store, and we're going to read the instructions. That's the most important thing I can give you in this entire video. But read the instructions and understand how and where you're going to mount the system. They give you everything in these packages to mount it in almost every circumstance. But this bracket is a very large bracket for a bigger TV. It'll mount against the wall, and we'll be using these large lag bolts. And we'll be drilling, in this case, into 2x4s or into wood. So we'll be mounting, they're exactly 16 inches spaced apart. We'll be putting them in, and then we'll be able to mount the brackets to the wall. And after they're done, then we will mount these brackets to the TV set, actually, and then they will lock in through this hook apparatus in the back end onto the system here. So that is how the basics of the system. Let's go see if we can't start getting it hung on the wall. Let's go find out how to get the studs drilled, and let's work on installing this wall bracket. Okay, now we're going to mount that wall bracket onto the wall here. In this case, it's a paneled wall, which makes it a little more difficult to find the studs that we're going to mount it to. Sometimes you will find there are brick behind that, in which case you'd have to use masonry anchors, but in this case there is 2x4s behind the wall. I took the liberty to already locate where those are, and one way to do it was to drill a small hole into the area you believe that you found that stud, and then I took a very small finish nail and actually nailed it into the wall and realized that I did have a stud there. That's a good way to make sure that where you're drilling is where the stud is. We will drill now the holes for our bracket, and according to the manufacturer's instruction, the bracket is supposed to be 16 inches. The holes need to be drilled exactly 16 inches apart on there. Being careful here to drill very level, and one of the ways that I have judged these various areas is to try to take a level and realize, okay, where are we as far as level? We want to make it as level as possible, and so that's what we've done. We've marked the tape. We started with the upper ones in this case, measured 16 inches straight down using a torpedo level, and then we were able to mark that on the tape. Again, masking tape is a great friend because it doesn't leave marks, comes on and off very easily onto the surfaces. So now we will drill the holes that we need in the positions located, being careful to drill as level as possible. Now we have our holes drilled. It's kind of handy if you do have the tools they recommend. This would take a long time to use a wrench, but you could use any kind of a wrench to do this. So you can see this socket is speeding up the job a little bit. I'm going to leave the lag screw out a little bit, because when we place that bracket over the top, it's got a keyhole effect where you put the head of that lag bolt into a keyhole effect, and then it slides down and locks into position. So we're leaving just a little margin on the back end of that. It may be too much, and we can always tighten it down when we get a little bit closer to installing the bracket and actually anchoring it in very firmly. Very fortunate in this case that they had studs nicely really centered over the fireplace opening here. Sometimes you're going to find, I had a home that the studs were not placed in the center or in an area that you could just do a bracket or a picture like right in the center of the fireplace opening. So what I did, and I was prepared to do that here today even, would be to mount a board up wherever you could find the studs. You mount the board into a place that you know is solid, and then you could mount the TV bracket anywhere here into this wood, and it'd be a good way to bridge any maybe large spans that you could not anchor the TV bracket to. In this case, we had a great situation. Now that we've got the lag screws tightened to about the same distance between all of the heads, I wanted to take a second to thank Corey Porter for giving us a call and an email actually through House Fix with Rick. You can go to the website, housefixwithrick.com, and you can contact us and see if you've got a project that maybe I could help you with. And we love the opportunity to help Mr. Porter with mounting his TV bracket. Let's see if we can get the bracket to fit now that we've got our lag screws in position. Now it's time to hang the bracket, and we'll see if we've done things right. Number one, that we want these to be 16 inches on center from top to bottom, and they are on both cases. And let's see if we can't now hang the bracket. And it doesn't always work the first time. So let's see what we've got here. Again, we have the keyhole bracket. That's the keyhole location on this, and that's what this is, a keyhole. And the screw goes in here, and then it slides up. The head is a lot larger than the collar of the bolt, and then it will slide in here, and that gives us chances to do all kinds of adjustments. So what we do is we take it up here, you see, put it through that keyhole. Then that's why we didn't go tight to the wall. Then it allows that bracket to hang down. Now it should fit into the lower bracket, but look here. It's not quite right, because to be 16 on center, it's 16 on center, but it doesn't allow the lower bolt to go through the keyhole. So what we're going to do is remove the lower bolts, and then we'll put this back, and then it will fit, but we'll need to remove the lower bolts and then put them back in again. They are located right. They're 16 on center, but they just don't allow us enough room through the keyhole to get into that area, and they really need to be this way. So we're going to remove those and then reinstall the bracket. Now we've removed the lower lag screws because we did it wrong. No, we didn't do it wrong. We'll fix it. It's really easy. It's made to be done that way. You put the bracket over the top of those bolts, and now they'll go in. The bolts will go in very easily because they've been drilled and installed a couple times, and the holes definitely are still well visible in the area here. So we're going to be in great shape. Now we just got to re-screw the screws. Before we go all the way with this, we are going to make sure that these things are level and plumb. And sometimes when you're leveling a product like this in a home, sometimes you can level it to the world, meaning it's plumb and level the way you have it set, but it would look wrong to how the paneling is on the wall. So you have to pay attention to how the bracket is to the other lines that are given in the house. So often people make a mistake there. They'll put a countertop in exactly level, but then the wall outlets are hung wrong, or they're off askew. So you have to kind of pay attention to the world around the bracket. So not only are we going to maybe level it, and we could use one of our torpedo levels or a level, but we also want to make sure that it's plumb, and that's up and down straight. So we're going to orient that to the paneling, and it makes it kind of easy in this case. We're going to make sure we have the same margins everywhere. These brackets move all over the place, so they're very friendly as far as hanging them. The bracket is now secure. Now we'll mount the hardware to the back of the TV set so we can utilize the wall mount bracket that we've installed. I did check this before we even started the project today to make sure that things were made for this TV set. They say they're universal, but it's always a good idea to measure twice and cut once, but make sure that you're doing things the right way. In this case, we're going to start by mounting the hardware in this very long adjustable area, and we'll put the screw in here. And we'll find the proper location of the hole up here. This is where sometimes your bracket system starts getting in your way, but that's only a temporary problem. Now we have the bracket mounted to the back of the television set. We're ready to, I think, install it on the wall. Let's give it a try. Well, it's time to mount the TV on our bracket. We've got the mount on the back of the TV. We've got the brackets there. We've got the mount on the wall. But I noticed something as I was observing this, that the bracket is mounted somewhat in the middle of this area, but not exactly right. So I decided I'm going to measure from one side to the other and see what we have as far as the space from the corners there. This is like 12 3/4 inches. And this is, well, it's about 17 inches. So depending on how we mount that TV, let's try to make sure these brackets are centered as well. And we may not need it, but that ought to be pretty close. We'll see how it works. Should be about right, 14.5. A little bit more. There we go, about 15 on both of them. The bracket's more centered on the wall, and as we hang the TV, it'll be a little bit better, maybe in location to where we want it to be. We have got the TV mounted now, and it is a house fix with Rick. Thank you for giving us a chance to show you how to hang a wall mount bracket for your TV. Don't know what to buy or where to get help? Check out our RICK-amendations below.